Welcome, everyone, to Homeless in San Diego. My name is Greg Angel. I'm here with Ken Straight today. Ken, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Greg.
So we just met, but we were talking a little bit about this show, and I was sharing about the purpose of it, like how it all started about 5 years ago. And I was sharing that I just got so tired of hearing stereotypes that weren't true about people who were experiencing homelessness, insults and criticisms of people just because they were experiencing or at risk of homelessness. And like right away, you kind of jumped onto that.
Yeah, I mean, becoming homeless, you see people who are homeless, and you think that'll never be me, or you think that's someone else, and no, it was me, and it can be anyone. Life is full of ups and downs, and things can sometimes go so far south that you find yourself with not enough money to afford a place to live, or in a mental state that you perhaps are not making the right decisions that leads you into that situation.
Well, thank you for coming on the show today to share about your experience, share about your strength, your accomplishments. I'd love to just back up and for our listeners to get to know a little bit about who you are. Where are you from? I know you served in the Army.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm Kenneth Straight. I'm 33 years old. I grew up in El Cajon, California. Joined the Army and left a couple days after graduating high school. Did 2.5 years as an airborne infantryman. Had one short deployment to Afghanistan. Got cut short by a failed urinalysis. I failed a urinalysis for marijuana, and they relieved me of my duties, kicked me out of the Army, and that landed me back here in San Diego, desperate and ashamed, and full of guilt,
Pretty young,
without a leg to stand on. I came back in 2012. That's when I got back to San Diego. I loved the Army. I loved my job. I had an identity as a soldier, and then it all got cut short. And when I got back, I just thought, I'll get a job. I'll do all the things I thought I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that. I tried to make something work, try to put something together to be happy and feel the way I felt, feel fulfilled with a sense of purpose, proud of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I, drinking very heavy, using drugs, and that went on, until for many years it went on like that.
Yeah.
I would have a job for a little while, lose it for not showing up, or quit because I didn't like it. It wasn't the Army.
Yeah.
Move on to another one. And I was a hard worker, and always wanted. I had this image of myself as this person that was, I was happy, and
mm-hmm.
I would like to have my own place, and I would like to have friends and healthy relationships, and I was never able to make that happen.
Did you have people in your life who modeled that early on?
Early on, as a child, yeah, I'd say my grandpa and grandma. I'd say they modeled a pretty good life for me. Grandpa was decades in the Navy, and had a little property out in Dunbar, and they helped raise us. My parents are both recovered addicts. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. One brother passed away.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So, I thought I had a perfectly normal, great childhood, but looking back and through lots of therapy, I do see that there are things that probably have followed me since, and so I don't think I had too many models of that as a child. Once my parents got their stuff together, that they were able to model that to me, but at an advanced age, it might be, I've already grown so much. Yeah.
You've flown the coop at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a young adult, you're in your 20s, right? So come back from the Army, going to these different jobs, drinking and using, right? Like, so what?
Still able to stay at the parents, when I'm
you're
not
surviving.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not thriving.
Not thriving.
Yeah.
Just trying to fill holes that I have from Afghanistan, and doing what I think is what I'm supposed to be doing, even though I really don't have any idea of how to get to where I wanted to be, which was just an apartment, just my own place, right? Just my own car. So that goes on. I do a couple geographical moves, thinking that'll work. I know now that's not how it works, right? I had to fix myself before anything would change. So find myself back down here in about 2017, late 2016, and it starts to go downhill fast. Now it's been 5 or so years of trying, and I'm depressed and angry, and started getting some criminal charges. A DUI here, a vandalism there, and in 2019 I got a hit and run with injury in El Cajon. I had been up all night partying, and it was about 8 in the morning. I crashed my vehicle into a car on the side of the road that there happened to be somebody in, and I ran, and so I got an extended amount of time in jail, and that was when everything kind of started to change. That's when everything changed.
Yeah. How long were you in jail?
I was in jail for 3.5 months.
Okay.
Just here in San Diego County, and it's the longest I had been in jail, and it was enough for me.
Yeah. It's not a good place.
No, and especially for my mental instabilities at the time, unaddressed.
Yeah.
It was a catastrophe for me, and I clearly saw that I needed to change something, and it gave me a chance to be sober for a little while. Right? It gave me. I had all those years. If I had $5 or $10, I was going to be able to get a little weed or have a drink at a bar. So that gave me some sober time, and finally the VA actually came to the jail. I was requesting the vet mod. And people were telling me, and I had never heard of that.
Were you in Vista?
I didn't. I was in East Mesa.
Okay, all right.
And I thought people were messing with me. I thought it wasn't real. They said they give you a suit when you get out.
It's
and
nice at the vet
yoga classes and stuff.
Yeah. I've been to the one in Vista. I haven't been in the East County.
I think there's only the one in Vista. That's where they
so
transfer
you were trying. Gotcha. Okay.
And the VA comes and says, "Why are you writing this letter? You're not a veteran." And and I said, "Dang, I know I'm not, and don't deserve any of these benefits or anything like that. But if there's a vet mod, I would really love to stop politicking and be somewhere that could possibly help me rehabilitate." And so they come back a few days later and said, "Yeah, you are a veteran. Why have you never been to the VA? And well, what's your deal?" So they get me a spot in Veterans Village of San Diego, and I was out maybe a week later to an their inpatient program.
To their inpatient addiction treatment program?
Yeah, homeless addiction.
Residential treatment program.
Yep.
Okay, all right. So you went directly from jail into that program.
Yep.
Good on the VA for connecting with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Such a blessing, because I don't think I had the wherewithal or the courage to go and ask for the help myself.
Yeah. So how was the experience? How was the program at Veterans Village of San Diego?
Amazing.
It's
this
awesome.
This is late 2019.
Yeah.
I had never been in company with other veterans, especially veterans struggling with addiction and homelessness.
Yeah.
Other combat veterans. I've never had, since I had been out, been around other veterans that struggled from the same things I did.
Yeah.
that could help support me and really help me realize what I needed to do to recover and to better my life and to be happy and feel safe. And there was classes about healthy relationships, and classes about men's work and addiction, and the alcohol and other drug stuff. Cognitive behavioral therapy. Like, I had a therapist now, a psychologist and psychiatrist. Now I have health insurance, and that's a huge thing, right? They're like, and so VVSD was the biggest blessing to land at.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it gave me a light at the end of the tunnel, whereas before the tunnel always just went deeper. When I looked into my future beforehand, before going to VVSD, all I ever saw was deeper into the hole. I never saw me with my own place, me with a dog, me with, a wife. And that's when that's when I first started to see the light.
How long were you in the treatment program at BVSD?
Few months. This was my first go at recovery. Things aren't easy. Yeah. Things are new.
Progress.
COVID happened there. Yeah. So a couple months. It didn't last long.
Yep.
But I knew where to go after I went on my next run. Did a little more research. Did a little more research. The streets were still there.
Yep.
The drugs were still there. Nothing had changed. And then I had started doing methamphetamine. I had always kind of, just like any other thing, I will never do that. And then you do it. Oh, I'll never do that. And then I did it. Yeah. And so, but when I left in March 2020, when I left VVSD, it was, and I was getting stimulus stuff. So I was able to stay at this Motel 6 downtown.
Yeah.
And it was downhill fast with my mental health.
At that time too, when everything's shutting down and
I have a diagnosis through the VA of PTSD, and the side effects of methamphetamine, and with my mental issues, it was a catastrophe. Out of my mind.
Yeah.
And so scared of everything, and having to. Oh man, just thinking back on those feelings makes me never want anyone to have to feel those things, and
you're very compassionate to have that perspective, right? Like,
man,
put it out. Like, I don't want anyone else to have to deal with that.
No,
not everyone brings that,
and not everyone
focus,
would. Right? Nobody could know what that feels like to have your muscles clenched and you're just walking around all sweating and scared and trying to find a place to sit down for a second that no one could see you, or use the bathroom. No one will let you use you don't want to ask for water, and you're haven't drinking, and I'm really blessed, and I feel that I'm in a position to communicate or help people that I'm in a special place to do that, because I've been there.
Yeah.
And I know how crappy it is.
Yeah.
So I go back in 2021. I say enough. My grandpa let me stay with him, and I go there. I'm still messing up, and he's my favorite person of my whole life.
Yeah.
Helped raise me. Yeah. Showed me ride a dirt bike. Showed me how to work on cars. He's always been an example of a man in my life, and now I'm there on his property, on his terms, using, and he doesn't even want to hang out, and it just broke my heart, and I was done. So I went to VVSD in 2021, and I, for me this time, it wasn't just getting out of jail. It wasn't the VA showing me this is what they do. It was me wanting to get sober, and it worked. I got there, and VVSD had changed a little. The program had changed a little.
Yeah.
Not going to get too political there. But the program had changed a little, and it wasn't this, they weren't doing everything for me this time.
Yeah.
They weren't getting me out of bed. They weren't making me, I wasn't made to do anything. And so it was on me,
Mm-hmm.
and I took that torch and ran with it. Made my own classes. I read a bunch of books, Habits of a Happy Brain, How to Do the Work, all these books that was my own curriculum of who do I want to be? Because I didn't even know myself anymore. I had just been addicted and homeless and ashamed and not living life for my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to figure out who I was again, and what do I like, and what do I want, and what makes me feel good, and what, setting healthy boundaries. So I set up my own classes, and I did run the program at VVSD. I took their suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
and I did all their things, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a place for me to lay my head, and that's what I needed.
How long were you in the program the second time?
8 months.
8 months. Okay.
Yep.
And then is that when you got connected to Workshop for Warriors?
Yeah, I standing in the smoke pit one day, there was another resident that was going through it, and I asked him, "Hey, what do you do? You're always going and going." And so and I didn't have any job prospects or anything like that, so I reached out to him. I gave him a call and said, "Hey, I'm Ken, and Army veteran, and looking for a career in advanced manufacturing." And they said, we're here for you. Come on down, and got me signed up on a scholarship, which I don't get the GI Bill benefits because of my character of discharge.
Mm-hmm.
So I never thought school or any education was an option for me.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they let me in, and now again I'm surrounded by veterans and training for a career in advanced manufacturing. Each semester is 4 months. You can graduate one semester and apply for jobs and go off to a career. I was in the middle of the Fresh Start program through the San Diego Public Defender's Office.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar?
Yeah. Clears some of your background issues.
Yep. And I had to be patient and all of these things.
You got to demonstrate that you're making progress in certain areas, accomplish certain goals.
But I wanted it, and I was going to be patient, and I was going to dot all my I's and cross all my T's along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed for a second semester and a third and a fourth. And they helped me discover how capable I really am, and got me my position now. I went to a job fair with them and got a job interview with the company I'm at now.
And then through that company, if I'm remembering from the earlier conversation, you then got connected to Interfaith Community Services, or through maybe a training support, because one of the programs that we provide is job training and financial support for employment-related expenses for veterans, right? So that's how you met Rachel and connected with Interfaith.
Yeah, it was actually about 6 months before I got the job.
Okay.
I was going to OSHA safety courses, because welding is inherently dangerous, right?
Yeah,
and
it seems that way.
What would make me stand out as an applicant?
Yeah.
Because I'm with 40 other welders applying for these same jobs.
Okay.
But the OSHA classes were like a couple $100, and they're, I was in Mission Valley at the time on VASH, and Rachel and in your employment services helped support me financially to go to those classes.
Okay.
And then from there, we stayed in touch. She helped me with resume stuff. She helped me with interview practice. And then once I got the job, they really went all out and supported me with the tools that I needed to be successful and advance in my position as a CNC machinist.
That's amazing.
Amazing. And she's amazing.
Yeah, no, she's really solid.
Yeah.
For sure. So how long ago was that the support, Interfaith provided the support for the tools? The CNC machine.
2 months ago.
Oh, okay, really recent. Okay.
Yeah, 2 or 3 months ago.
All
I
right.
think she was trying to get rid of me.
I doubt that. Man.
She said, your services have been going on for this long. No, I'm just joking. But really, they got me all the hand tools. Prescription safety glasses, and it just shows how much Interfaith and Rachel cares about my success and my well-being, right? Because buying me tools and boots and the prescription safety glasses, it makes me feel armored basically with love. And yeah, they are realistic, PPE, personal protective equipment that I need for work, but also it means that I always have this person that I know I can reach out to when things are going wrong. And I have built these multiple people like that along the way. VVSD. I still meet with my therapist from 2019.
Awesome.
Monthly in person. And I still meet with workshops for warriors. I went to the gala just recently and spoke about what they did for me. And Rachel, as you mentioned, recently wrote me a letter, a character reference. I'm applying for a discharge upgrade soon for my character reference.
Great.
Or for my character of discharge. Sorry.
Yeah.
And all these people, and Rachel is now one of them. So it's just very important to me that I spent so long burning bridges and so long burning people along the way. And when I made that decision, then I wanted to be sober and I wanted to change my life. And I knew I was a good person. Nobody else could see that because of those stigmas.
Yep.
But now nobody can change my mind because I have this board of supervisors, right? Is kind of what I call them. These people that I have put in place in my life, and I don't talk to them every day. And these are very usually influential people with jobs and lives and stuff, but they're always there.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah.
And, thankfully you had access to resources when you were ready, right? You had a treatment program that brought you in.
That's the path.
Out of incarceration. And then they were welcome to have you back, right? And then the Workshop for Warriors program, credit to them, even though you didn't have the GI benefits, they have their own funding structures in place to be able to provide scholarship supports. And you earned, continuing to receive that. And then additionally, the employment, the tool support, the prescription glasses, all that Interfaith was able to offer specifically because of your service to our country as a veteran. So a couple things, like first, thank you for your service. I haven't had an opportunity to say that yet.
Yeah. You're worth it, man. And I appreciate that, but the service that I did for this country, you're worth it.
Well, thank you for your service. And also for our listeners, we see the impact, the positive impact of providing these resources. What would our country look like if we provided these resources to civilians? Some of them we do, right? There are addiction treatment programs that we provide regardless of veteran civilian status. There are a number of resources. You mentioned VASH, which is a housing support resource that is really important in that it is only for veterans, and non-veterans simply are not able to access this housing subsidy that makes housing affordable. And when we look at veteran homelessness, we've actually seen a 50% decrease in the amount of veterans who are homeless over the course of a decade in the entire country, amidst the Great Recession, amidst COVID, all these things, because the country has invested in housing and services, and then providers like VVSD and Workshop for Warriors have worked really hard to make those accessible, right? And then you have the gumption and the perseverance and the strength to engage with them. Yeah. Right. What if we opened that net? What if we provided more of those resources to more people?
I think we absolutely should. Yeah. I left VVSD with VASH. I wasn't going to leave without knowing where I was going, because I know where I was going, left to my own devices and my old ways. I did everything I could. I stayed into treatment until I knew I had a safe place to go, and not everybody has that. Mm-hmm. But VASH was my first apartment, my first own apartment. Is I walked in and I knew I could never use or drink in here. It just didn't even occur to me. Like it just, I couldn't. I wanted to honor the program, and I think that everybody should and could, honestly, with the amount of money that our country generates and the compassion that I know the people I surround myself with and most of our countrymen have. Everyone deserves a safe place. One bedroom apartment is how it started for me, and it was beautiful.
Well, we're going to wrap up the episode. As you know, we always have calls to action for our listeners. I'll start off by saying the resource that we're talking about here, VASH, you can also think of it as a Section 8 housing voucher, which everyone's heard of. These are housing subsidies that, again, they make housing affordable, and they're based upon your income level, and they're based upon finding an apartment that isn't outrageously expensive, although, frankly, every apartment's outrageously expensive right now, but they're within market rate, these apartments, these homes. It's an intervention, housing vouchers, that if we chose to as a country, we could absolutely scale up and make more accessible. And we're not talking about just giving everyone housing. We're just talking about making it more accessible.
I would like to talk about giving everyone housing, but maybe in the future. And an important caveat is it comes with case management and it comes with addiction therapy. So you again have those supports that, I had never had to pay bills. I had never had my own place, but I had them to call to
help
ask.
with that.
Yes, and it
develop
made,
those skills.
And then I could stand on my own 2 feet with my bills. And then my income went up, and so did my portion of the rent, and I just bought my first home.
No kidding?
Yeah, a few months ago. Me and my wife.
Congratulations,
just bought our
Ken.
first home.
That's sweet.
It's incredible.
It's sweet.
Incredible. And it started with that. It started with going to VVSD. It started with staying sober until I could get that first apartment with the help of the subsidy from VASH. It would have never happened without that. And then my income went up. And then my income went up. Mm-hmm. And now I'm at a place where, okay, I'm going to buy a house. And these are things that I always thought were off the table for me. Yeah. Off the table for me. Where was I going to put my poncho? What bush was I going to put my poncho over? What friend was I going to bother tonight? Where was I going to park my truck tonight? And I just bought my first house. And so I think we should have the conversation one time, maybe next time, of how does it's been proven to work. You said the statistics about veteran homelessness going down, the amount that it has. And but as your question for the call to action,
go on.
You gotta want it. You gotta want to change, whatever that change is. If you want to get sober, if you want to get off the streets, if you want a place to live, you gotta know that the support is there for you when you want it. When you want it, the support is there for you. The path is there. My path was VVSD and Interfaith Employment Services and workshops for warriors. But there is paths to whatever success is for you. And if you really want it, and you are patient and you go after it, you ask for help, communicate your wants and needs, there will be people there to show you the way to wherever you want to end up.
It's hard to reach out and ask for help. It's hard to take the step to go into a residential program that you don't know anybody, never been there. These are really challenging things, even if you're coming directly out of jail.
It is. It absolutely is. It is. And I want to say something inspirational, but it is so hard because those neural pathways are built so strong that your body, we're just animals, we're just complex animals, and your body is just going to want to keep doing what it knows, and that's what's safe for for the brain. But if you can break that for a day, an hour, and is still out there. If I wanted to go back, even though I'm, if you want to make the decision, if someone makes the decision to try inpatient or try whatever help, or communicate that they need help, there's no locked doors. Whatever the fear is of losing, or if they don't like what they find on that route of asking for help, you can always go back. I don't recommend it.
We talk about how treatment is cumulative and progress is not linear.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of treatment, you got a little bit of treatment. It's not going to disappear.
Right.
You may not be still in recovery, but that treatment's still there.
Yeah. And what I've heard people say that I like is you don't lose clean time. A day sober is a day sober.
Yeah, that's better said. Yep.
A day asking for help is a day asking for help. I think there's many things that people would like to change about themselves, and me. There's things I would like to change about myself to this day. And for example, I woke up for a couple times last week.
Yeah.
And that's just very unlike me, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So I moved my phone across the room, put the alarm on, and plugged it in at night so it's across the room.
Yeah.
No
more snooze button.
It worked. It worked the first 2 days, and then the third day it was so cold that I got back into bed. So that's what you said about it being cumulative.
Yeah.
And just making small changes in whatever direction you want to go. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Ken, you said you wanted to say something inspirational. You have. What you've shared on the show today, just who you are, is very inspirational. I thank you for being so open and for sharing about everything. You shared with Logan and me that you have other goals ahead.
Yeah.
You want to share about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Put it out there in the universe?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And so my 5-year goal is to finish my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I'm going to stay at my job as a CNC machinist. It's home for me, keeps my hands busy, keeps my mind moving, and it's letting me gain experience. But I start in February at Cuyamaca and Grossmont College Community College District.
Nice.
I'm going to get my feet wet, and I got math and English this semester. I'm very nervous, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
That's a 5-year goal. I want to stay sober. I'm going to stay sober. I want to continue my tradition of stand down and volunteering at stand down.
Oh, that's cool that you do that.
I'd like to create something. I've welded some mugs, some coffee mug holders in the past.
Yeah.
And then cutting boards for Christmas for people. I've made some cutting boards.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I want to do that as well. I want to get back into having my hobbies available to me.
Yeah, well, you're a homeowner now.
Yeah,
Congrats on marriage, too. That's exciting.
I'm not. It's real.
There you go.
She said she actually did it. Can't believe somebody accepted me.
Well, I can, Ken. Let's stay in touch. We'd love to have this conversation again, and for you to share more about where you're at in the future, for us to talk about ways that we can work together to help more veterans, help more civilians overcome some of the challenges that you've shared about today. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Greg, and you're doing the Lord's work here.
Well, it's teamwork, and I appreciate you sharing the impact of the Rachels. I don't know, our listeners may not have caught it, but there's a Rachel at Workshop for Warriors, and then we have a Rachel here at Interfaith.
Yeah.
They've both made a huge impact on
both on my
you.
board of supervisors.
Both on your board of supervisors. So shout out to the Rachels. Thank you, Ken, for joining us. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in, and we will talk to you again soon.